guys, I'm ChezPride and welcome back to another video here on my channel, and today I want to go over some both very discouraging news but as well as some encouraging news from the last week of life simulation gaming news. And today we are going to be covering EA/The Sims 4 as well as Paralives, but sadly there is more positive news for Paralives than The Sims at this point, or really EA as a whole, because as of a few days ago the EA buyout has officially happened. So we are going to talk about that, how the Sims community and team is talking about this and what it means for the Sims 4 game, as well as cover a small patch for The Sims 4 that came out, and some stuff that has been announced about the next big patch for Paralives coming very soon in the next few days. So if you have been around for my news videos in the last year, this topic of the buyout is definitely not new here on my channel, and if you have been following along, you are aware why and the fact that I am not a fan of this buyout. I'm not a fan of the people who are doing it and what they're incorporating into the game. So we're going to quickly cover that. I'm not going to read the whole article word for word, but I'm basically going to cover what it says. So the people who are buying this are PIFs, which PIF is one of the world's most impactful investors, enabling the creation key of sectors and opportunities to help shape global economy, deliver returns, and drive economic transformation of Saudi Arabia. And then Silver Lakes, of course, is a global technology investment firm with approximately 114 billion in combined assets under management and committed capital team of professional base of North America, Europe, and Asia. And then Affinity Partners is a Miami-based investment firm founded in 2021 by Jared Kushner, which is Trump's son-in-law, with over $6 billion under management and a team of 30 plus professional. Affinity focuses with the growth of equality and technology investments at scale with flexible mandates across industry and geographies. So obviously, just in general, these are not the greatest companies, but we're going to put personal opinions aside for this video, even though we know I'm not a fan of these people, especially, Trump's son-in-law. But with that being said, Trump's son-in-law being the one that runs about or is involved with half of these, basically we can kind of know what kind of people we're dealing with, whether you are a fan of Trump or not. You just know who we're dealing with and what kind of things they actually truly believe in. But again, we're trying to put personal opinions aside and let's look at the facts of what they're actually doing when they are buying this company. So basically, they announced that this was going to be happening last September in 2025, and they had a special meeting on stockholders held in December 22nd. And this is a buyout of all of EA, not just The Sims 4, but the sports games and the gun games. All the games that are acquired on the EA app are going to now be ran by Jared Kushner and his companies. And basically, what they're trying to say is they want to take it to the next level with, of course, AI, because we know AI is slowly taking over the world. And they are pretty much, to summarize, saying we're cutting off stockholders, we're becoming a private investor company, which means they don't have, or at least they're trying to make it where they don't have to go through things like human rights resources and whatnot. And they are making it where AI is going to take over half the jobs, so they're going to be doing some major layoffs in all of the different games that they held off, including just people that work for EA. So EA is going to people are going to get laid off. The Sims team is going to have people get laid off, and there's nothing they can do about it because basically this whole sellout, they're going to just end up going into a huge debt. So they're going to be trying to brand lab as well as just do major layoffs to replace things with AI just to cut corners to save money. They're going to start doing microtransactions, which has already been shown starting with the marketplace in The Sims 4, and it's just all not good stuff, basically. Like, they claim that this is going the next step, but really what it is it's taking away people's jobs and making the games less human. And it's just, I don't know. Personally, I don't see it as a good thing. Some people maybe see that as a good thing, but I don't think losing your job is worth, I mean, not personally our jobs, but the people who work to create the game, especially The Sims 4, one of the most inclusive games there is out there. And now it's being ran by people who don't really care about inclusion, and they just want to cut corners and replace everyone with AI. I just don't think that's a good thing. So that's basically what has happened with the EA sellout. Now, obviously, the Sims team themselves is not a fan of the EA sellout. There was actually a whole petition that I'm pretty sure like everyone on the EA team signed, and a bunch of people in the Sims community signed, and some people over in other gaming categories that run under EA have signed. They had a ton of people sign this contract, and they, of course, it didn't stop the EA buyout, which was the whole point of the petition, but we knew that when we had the petition that it wasn't going to completely stop it. Like, Trump's son-in-law is just too powerful, and there's not really much we can technically do to stop the buyout. I mean, obviously it's already happened, and now that they're going to be making all these changes, but there is a way that the court can kind of like stand up and like basically like Democrats and Republicans and stuff and the congressmen can be like, hey, are these following the guidelines? And if they aren't following the guidelines due to what the people think is right, they can try to be like, hey, you know, don't do this, or include this, or change the way you're doing this. And that's kind of what I want to show you with the video I recently shared on Instagram. So if you go to my shared videos on Instagram, you can see this video here with Little Simsy, which we all know how huge of a fan I am of Little Simsy, and the congressman for Florida. So I'm going to play this for you guys, actually.
Approved the $55 billion buyout of EA, and that means one of the biggest companies in gaming is about to be taken over by the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund and Jared Kushner's private equity firm.
Boo. And that's a serious failure by the federal government in terms of protecting working people and consumers. I mean, they just handed private equity the biggest crown jewel in the entire gaming industry. And now the next question is whether or not ripping off gamers is going to be the new standard practice in the entire gaming industry.
That's what gamers have been worried about from the beginning. We've already watched this industry normalize layoffs, hike up prices on consoles and games, and put microtransactions everywhere. It's all about cutting corners to rip off consumers instead of making better games. Nobody wants that to become the future of gaming.
That's why it's important for people to realize that this doesn't end with regulators approving the deal. It's a whole new phase of corporate accountability. I mean, EA needs to answer questions to Congress and the general public. Like, are there going to be mass layoffs? What's going to be the role of AI? Are you going to be forcing people into microtransactions and more subscription packages? And will the creative freedom that made these games successful in the first place even survive?
They have to answer these questions. And we've already seen that gamers can have an impact. Just look at what happened with the college football single-player microtransactions. Gamers fought back, and EA caved under that pressure. And that shows that people don't have to accept every anti-consumer decision that a publisher makes. It actually shows that they're pretty vulnerable to unified gamer backlash.
That's exactly why I'm demanding answers from EA. As a member of Congress, part of my job is oversight. And if the federal government isn't going to do what it needs to do to protect working people, to protect gamers, and to protect consumers, well, then we have to step in. Deals like this can accelerate anti-consumer practices across an entire industry.
We're with you. We're organizing tens of thousands of gamers to hold EA accountable.
This fight has always been about protecting the people who bring the games to life.
That's the gamers. That fight does not end today. We are using every tool available,
including congressional oversight, to ensure that every time EA tries to make an anti-gamer decision, they're held accountable.
So encourage a member of Congress to join us in this fight.
Because the fight isn't over.
So as you can see, people are taking this quite seriously, even congressmen. They are trying to get more congress people involved in sorting out how the EA company will now be ran under Jared Kushner. So yes, they're saying that they're pretty much still going to have to go through the court and answer for all of these concerns people are having. But once they go fully private and the light stops shining on them so bright, I kind of am scared that it's just going to happen either way. And I feel like the Congress people can at least lessen the severity of how bad things are going to get. But again, look who we're dealing with. Now, I did love the fact that they rolled out the petition. I don't know if that was literally every single name that was on the petition, because so many people signed that petition, but the fact that they just rolled it out as a huge piece of paper was just so exciting to me. There are people trying to there's nothing we can do to stop it, but there's people trying to lessen the severity of how bad things are going to get. It's just the fact that the EA buyout even happened is enough for me to not really want to spend any more money with EA. Now, obviously, we know that I stopped spending money on The Sims 4 basically when the marketplace hit, because that was the beginning of a bunch of microtransactions. Technically kits were, but these are really microtransactions, and just that wasn't my jam, so I stopped buying things from EA already. But this is just a whole nother reason why I hate that, because my first game, my first video game was a Sims game. Sims has been a part of my life over half my life, and to see it ran by people who care so little about inclusiveness and the actual people that work on the team. They say they care about them, but we know that in reality, with all the layoffs, that they don't. And it's just, I don't know, it's just sad to see gaming going in this direction, and I hope stuff can be done about it. I'm not going to make this channel all about all of this political stuff and whatnot, but I did feel like it was worth mentioning that the EA has gone through. There's people trying to not make the worst situation possible happen. I honestly don't see it going too positively. Now, with that being said, that is the people who own EA. That is not even the workers of EA, and that is not the Sims team. The Sims team is right there with us, suffering through this, if not suffering worse, considering they're literally losing their jobs over this. So the Sims team has tried to at least reach out and say, hey, we know what's screwing up right now, but we are always going to be dedicated to making the inclusive game of The Sims. So it says, our past, our present, our future, always The Sims, and thesims.com/who we are. And they have given us this little video here to show off, Sims games over the years and the inclusiveness of everything that they try to include in this game, and just a little, video to be like, hey, this is happening, but we're trying to stay true to ourselves as much as they will let us. So I do appreciate that message from the Sims team, but I think it shows with their patch this month how stressed out they have been, because we've been for the last year and a half bringing these huge patches with all these bugs, fixes, and new things that are included in the game. And this one they called this the July patch. We had a July patch. This is the August patch, considering that this patch came out in August, but I don't know why they called it the July patch. Whatever. But there is just so little in this patch. Granted that some of it is decent, some of it's not the greatest, including the stuff from the marketplace. They at least are trying to put out a patch. I just feel like the fact that we had all these huge patches that are supposed to be quality game improving, and now as soon as EA gets bought, we just have the tiniest patch ever. It says a lot. I feel like it says a lot with how it is influencing the game itself. But with that being said, I'm going to quickly go over July's patch and talk about what was in this patch. So update 8/6/2026, and it says TLDR resolved a major console/travel crash that occurred immediately after loading saves. Large saves may still load slightly slower. Save reminders now default to every 2 hours instead of off, and we improved the visual feedback for active autosaves. Fixed a critical bug where loading an autosave and saving manual could override the fixed slot. Auto autosave and reminder timers will no longer reset when traveling, fixed misaligned tabs in Discover menu, and fixed something went wrong error with occurring when transactioning from the gallery, and restarted working countdown timers for schools and careers, and fixed missing lots taxes on residential rental bills. So we got an update today that covers the autosave and marketplace along with few other fixes and community reports. As always, thanks for playing, building, and creating in The Sims 4, the dev team. These are some of the major things that they fixed that I just put out there, including a lot of stuff that's been glitchy since the autosave from the last patch, which was our last big patch we had. They added autosave, and this is obviously fixing a lot of bugs with that and a lot of things that people didn't like. And I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to customize it per save file anyway, so I don't really care what the default is, but I guess it's not bad having the save reminders on every 2 hours instead of off. I would rather see the save reminders automatically on than the autosave automatically on. I think the autosave shouldn't automatically be on. I think it's a feature that you should have to turn on. And also the fact that it was resetting when traveling is super stupid. And I was having this something went wrong error every time I was transitioning from the gallery. So that was something I was annoyed by too. So I get it. But let's jump into the actual bug fix notes. So it says memory boost. Thank you to everyone who shares save files. While this patch doesn't include the additional changes for this issue, testing on player submitted save confirmed that memory boost resolves a memory related crash that could occur when traveling after loading a save through longer load times and still occur in similar but separate issues to continue being investing on its own. So basically they're saying they're still working on this. And then it says autosave and reminder updates fixes. The save reminder frequency has been changed to every 2 hours and set off. We already read that one. There's more consistent feedback that an autosave is occurring when exiting build mode or traveling. We've addressed some issues where autosave and save reminder timers would reset when traveling, causing them not to match the selected timing option. Then for last, we addressed an issue where manual saves could inadvertently override each other. This was happening when loading an autosave slot of a previously played manual save and then manually saving in new saves because it would always save against the last manual save slot, even if it was a different save slot than the one being currently loaded. That is a huge problem. The fact that was happening is very sad. Very sad. And then of course, because, it's the marketplace, there's always stuff going on to fix the marketplace. So even though I'm not a fan of the marketplace, I'll still tell you what's going on. So it says, fix an issue that could cause Discover menu tabs to misalign and show empty sections. A something went wrong error should no longer appear when transitioning from the gallery to the marketplace of a kit or pack that no longer is available. And then fixed a Japanese text issue for PlayStation's numbers. And, just the fact that they're admitting that there's kits and packs that are no longer available. Because if you didn't know, when the people leave the EA creators network, which a ton of people have since the announcement of the buyout, and honestly they should, but the people, when they leave, their kits and especially their maker packs get taken off. I think they still can't sell it as they can't go and be like, oh, this is what they took off the marketplace, so it's mine. They still technically can't sell it, so why are they fully removing it? Because it is still at least advertisement, but they're just like, oh no, you're gonna leave our company, we're not gonna show off your work anymore. I just feel like that's so bratty of them. I don't know, maybe I'm just being dramatic. But we have a few bug fixes here in the actual game as well that doesn't have to do with autosave, memory boost, and marketplace. So we have 3 base game and 1 for 4 rent, which honestly, that's not a lot. But it says the EA forms the countdown timer for careers, schools, and after school activities is fixed and no longer stuck under showing 0 minutes. This update contains a fix for crashes related to caching, which that's always a problem. Rebuilt thumbnails, which should address an issue for unentered pre-made households on the map screen that were still not showing roof edges from the previously fixed roof issue. This can still be addressed for all other lots by loading into the lot and leaving. We unfortunately aren't able to force a thumbnail update for these lots since the data is locally saved. Boo! But anyways. And then for rent, lot taxes are no longer missing under residential bills. We already covered that one. The one I want to see fixed, which I was kind of surprised not to see. Tell me it's not just me experiencing this. When I go to the homepage, half the time the Sims aren't there anymore. Like, you know how they're supposed to show like the household that you were on in your last save file? They're just not there. Like, when I load the load list, they're all there, but it's like you load in and it's just like a blank screen. I don't know, has anyone else been having that issue? Because that is driving me nuts. I know there's a ton of issues to fix. That happened when autosave got implied. Like, all of a sudden my Sims went away, and I'm just like really surprised that wasn't fixed, because I've even loaded in the game since updating and that's not fixed. I find that really annoying, but that's just personal opinion. But that is the super small patch that we got after EA was announced that they were officially bought out, and that is all the Sims news I have. So not very encouraging Sims news. We got a couple of good bug fixes, but everything else is kind of But Paralives has actually been announcing some really exciting stuff that's going to be happening. So Paralives, I believe, is having a patch update on, is it the 10th? I think the 10th. Yeah, August 10th, the update coming here soon. They've been sharing a bunch of stuff that they're going to be fixing. Now, in the first 2 months of the game, they were like bringing out updates every week, if not every other week, and it was really exciting, but they were all like smaller patches, and I guess they made the decision that if they're going to be including bigger updates, maybe they should hold them off and put out bigger content updates versus putting out a bunch of smaller ones, because it's been a couple of weeks, and instead of giving us these things just a little bit of time, they've been like, hey, we know we haven't updated the game, but here's what's coming, and it's bigger than what you're used to. So the first big fix that they're announced that Paralives will be making on August 10th is babies. Now, I didn't realize that babies weren't intended to look like this. I just thought they looked like that because of the artwork. But apparently people were very much not happy with the babies looking like this. Granted, they don't have very defining features when they look like this, but I still thought they were kind of cute. Maybe I'm just weird and think this is cute, but it kind of gives me like Bobby from King of the Hill is what this gives me. But this is what the new babies, like the infants and whatnot, are gonna look like now. It definitely looks more realistic, I will say that, but I'm a little sad that the chins are so short. That just looks a little weird to me. They're definitely cuter, don't get me wrong, but just the chin, I'm just like, oh my god, it's such a small chin. There's no chin there. I don't know. I think the eyes and the nose definitely look better, but the chin, I'm just like, But that's just my personal opinion. I don't make the game. I'm not that impressive in my skills, so I shouldn't complain what they do. But they are also including where you can assign each side of the bed. So your para will get in the correct side of the bed, and there can be 2 paras per bed. So, or, for beds that can hold 2 paras. So that's good. And they also are fixing a lighting issue. So we've revamped the indoor lights so they look more realistic and have a better range and don't light up the walls as brightly. So you can see this is the before and this is the after. And honestly, that does look way better. And the shadow on the wall is definitely better with like the lamps and stuff. They also, this is my favorite thing, they're including road names and lot numbers. So you can actually have official addresses, which is so exciting. I don't know why this excites me. I guess this kind of like brings me back to like The Sims 3, and I was obsessed with that game, and that is what this reminds me. It more so actually reminds me of The Sims 3 World Maker, which I used to mess around with that so much. I really used to love making my own worlds, even if I never played them. I just liked making them. I don't know, maybe it's because it's a map and it just has street names and stuff, but it still just really excites me that there's actually street names now. I feel like I'm more excited about that than I should be. The last thing isn't something that is coming new, but they did announce that until August 13th that Paralives is on sale for 20% off right now under this collaboration, the Wholesome Game Celebration. So if you are looking to get the game while it's on sale till the 13th. So that's pretty exciting. They've actually been doing a lot of sales. Honestly, I think it's great, especially considering this is such a new game that's in early access. The cheaper they can get to people, the more people are going to play it and give their feedback, and the faster they'll be able to make it a fully functional and playable game in full access. So I think the sales are great. Of course, I bought it the very first sale they had for people who didn't, because when the game comes out at full capacity, it's not going to be as cheap as it is now, but they're selling you the cheaper version now because it's not fully done. So it's fair that you're not getting it at the full price, but the fact that they're putting it on sale means you get it for even more of a discount price than you are, even though you're already getting a discount technically, because when it comes out, it's going to cost more because it's a fully developed game. So get it on sale while you can. Trust me, I know it's kind of a glitchy game. There's a lot to be fixed. They're going to add a lot more gameplay wise, but I think it's actually really fun to see the game learn and grow, and supporting a small indie team I feel like is really important, especially since honestly this is like the most fun life simulation game besides The Sims I've played. I know there's not a lot of other ones, but I feel like this one is, even for early access, it's just really well done. So of course you kind of know that based off of just my videos I've been making on it for a while, but I've also been following the production of it for years. So we know I get obsessed with things. We know I have autistic obsessions. It's fine. But guys, that's pretty much all I was going to talk about in this video. There was positives, there was negatives, but the life simulation gaming community is booming right now. So with that, if you made it to this point of the video, I hope you found it educational and entertaining, because that was the whole purpose. But for now, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that awesome stuff, because you guys are awesome people. I'll see you next time. Alright, bye!